please.
Yes, thank you. So Committee Member Gardner.
Here.
Committee Member Rockus.
Here.
Committee Member Larson.
Here.
Committee Member Joseph.
Present.
And Council Member Liaison Lewis is absent.
Did she
Without
say
word,
whether
I have-
she was going to make
No, I
it?
have not heard anything formally from her, so she may still arrive.
All right. We're going to open with public comments. Anybody make a public comment? I'd like to welcome everybody and say Happy New Year and welcome back. And I hope you're not suffering as much as I am about where we are right now as a country. But if you're anywhere below that, you're doing okay. So we had a council meeting last night, and the CAP proposal was presented by Stephanie, so I guess you would like to report on that?
Yes, so at your last meeting, and then Jessica that you weren't able to attend, but the committee at your November meeting took a very detailed look and analysis at all of the 25 final adopted greenhouse gas reduction measures as part of the Climate Action Plan, and broke up those 25 measures into a list of priority. Specifically, 16 measures were prioritized of the 25, and of those 16, the committee grouped them into 6 subcategories, I'll call them, in the areas of residential energy, green building, there was a community choice aggregation, implementation of our existing bicycle and pedestrian master plan, waste management, water conservation, in that order of priority. Last night I presented those prioritized measures to the council, and they did approve those measures in the list of priority as the EPC recommended.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so from this point forward, we needed to clarify a bit. There was some question from the council on, well, what are we approving and what's the next steps? And not at this meeting, but in future meetings, and we'll get through the agenda. What we envision is taking that list of 16 prioritized measures and bringing it back for more detailed discussion with the committee on how to actually implement those measures. Now, at the same time, there was also direction and comment from the council for those measures. For example, residential audit program. That was one specific example that was brought up. The council does not want to do much more than what may already be out there in terms of other organizations or agencies that may be performing similar types of services, and really focusing on the public outreach education component on making that word known to the community. So any information along the lines of any of those measures that the committee can bring and help share with us as staff, and staff of course will be doing our own participation. Dory's been involved in many regional and county-wide efforts as it relate to things going on sustainability-wise throughout San Mateo County and beyond. So we can collaborate together and take your recommendations on how are we going to implement these measures, putting it in the form of a draft implementation plan that then goes back to the City Council for their review and approval. And then at that point, we can quote unquote hit the ground running in terms of implementing ways. So let's actually get this measure done out in the community. So that was the summary of what happened last night. The council was appreciative of all your time and efforts too, and I wanted to just make sure I share that
Oh, that's nice.
with the committee. So
I think it was a year ago we sat, like, at the last hurrah.
well, yeah, well,
Because you were still here.
yes. Is it actually a
Yeah.
year ago to date, huh? Wow, went fast. So thank you. So that's my summary. Valerie was at the meeting as well. I don't know if there's anything that I missed that you'd like to bring up. Oh, I'm sorry. One more piece that I just wanted to share as we had presented to the council was, and we'll work through that when we hit our agenda item 3, which is the Earth Day 2017. They seemed favorable to the idea, as you discussed at your last meeting, on taking some of these prioritized measures and thinking of ways to potentially integrate them into activities or components of an Earth Day event. And I don't want to jump the agenda, so we can get to that, or I can do it now since we're kind of on course here. But what again, is envisioned with that is some discussion, some ideas, collaboration between the EPC and staff on what do you want Earth Day 2017 to look like. There's some more information that I'd like to share with the committee that we were able to find out after we distributed the memo that you have all received, just in terms of other activities that are already scheduled in the community that may be interest to you or not, to piggyback on or run parallel. Following this meeting, a draft Earth Day 2017 agenda, again, that needs to go back to the City Council for their review and approval prior to us as staff being able to actually start any planning efforts with that. So that is my summary from the action taken at last night's City Council meeting. Any questions?
You don't have any copies of what we agreed upon that was talked about at the,
Yes, I do, we do.
thank you. I didn't bring that. Thank you.
I have zero internet today.
Okay, do you want a hard copy?
That would be great.
Sure.
It'd be easier to work on.
Yes, this is, here we go.
It says I'm on the library PNA.
Oh no, yeah, I was having difficulties last night too. For some reason I'm on right now, but
It's been that day.
the weather.
I think it is the library.
So that would be my summary of item 3A of our agenda. It was just the staff comment. Unless there was any further questions, if we wanted to move on to the regular agenda. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, I was there, and my hearing of what the general sense of the council was they don't actually want us to do any programs of our own. They just want us to do what's on here, which are all either voluntary measures or existing programs. So I'm confused as to what we're gonna do, because I don't see anything to do, especially if there was clear articulation that we're not doing a home energy program. So if Dory's ready to present on what's available out there in the community, I'm ready to hear, but otherwise, I don't know what else we can do.
Yeah. So, and I think that's a really good point, and it was clearly conveyed to us verbally at the meeting last night, particularly as it relates to that one greenhouse gas measure. I don't think we were prepared. We're not prepared at this meeting to go beyond just an overview of what happened last night. I think it's a bigger picture discussion, and we'd want Dory to pool all her resources and give you an informed package to consider what else is out there in the community. I really just wanted to follow up and share the dialogue that we received last night and tie it back into the discussion that we have on the agenda, which is Earth Day 2017 event.
Okay, so let's go back to our agenda. We can be out of here in half an hour. Appointment of chairperson and vice chairperson. Do I hear a motion?
Hi, sorry I'm late.
I hear a mouse creeping in.
Is it 2 o'clock?
It's okay.
It was 1:30, but that's
1:30.
okay.
1:30?
We didn't get started till about 1:45.
Crazy?
Come join us.
Am I crazy?
No.
You're just late.
Somehow I thought it was.
You're gonna wanna sit here or you're gonna be mushed in.
Okay, I'll sit here. I'm happy to sit. Whew. Okay. Good.
Hi.
Hi. How are
So
you?
we're just about to get to our discussion of chairperson and vice chairperson, and I would like to nominate Jacinka to be chair.
I would like to second that.
Do I hear?
I just wanted to learn why we are after a year of activities. Is this mandatory, like with the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yes.
So we
Based
always-
off of resolution for all of the
For all
public
of the
advisory
public-
committees,
okay.
they do ask for the
Every
appointment and
year
reappointment.
We make appointments as we need to, at least once a year.
Once a year.
We can do it more often if we want to.
Which I
Would like
typically do that.
discussion?
Good job.
Discussion? Any,
Unless you
Do you have
impeach
do you
somebody.
have anything you'd like to say?
are you willing to do it?
I will be honored to do it and will count on your help and support in carrying the baton that Valerie successfully established and some of the standards.
Great, do I hear a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I am accepting the nomination. Right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yay,
Great.
good.
Thanks.
I'll just finish the second item and then I'll let you handle the rest of the meeting.
Oh, already? Okay.
For appointment of vice chair, do I have a
I
nomination?
nominate Holly.
Holly, yay.
Oh,
I'll second.
Okay.
Because she already said yes.
oh, okay.
Really?
I
Yeah.
accept.
Yay, do I hear, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yay, excellent. Congratulations. And congratulations. All right, do you have a copy of the agenda?
No.
There you go.
Okay, we're through regular agenda A, so then we need approval of the minutes from the last meeting, but Jacinka was not here for the last meeting. So that would be a little.
Right,
early.
Right, so
I didn't see the minutes.
Actually, I have them pulled out.
Were they
and,
posted?
Yes, they are posted.
Yes.
And they were in the email that
Were they
I
emailed?
think Stephanie
see a
sent.
Copy of them.
I saw them when you sent them like a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And
I was like, I'm trying to hazily remember what it was.
Right.
Because
And
it was
that,
a while back.
yeah, it was a while back. And so Jacinka, you could just simply abstain, obviously, from the vote since you weren't at
Mhm.
the meeting. But we do have a quorum here, so we could still take action.
That's exciting in itself.
There's the box. All right, they look pretty accurate to me. So, do I hear a motion? Oh, sorry. You wanna have the minutes approved, or are you looking at them?
I'm looking at
Did you see, Jenna?
Yeah, I saw them online.
Okay.
well, since I was not here, I can only approve what I
Okay,
read.
I move
But please.
to approve the last meeting's minutes.
Okay.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. So you abstain, right. Okay. So then that would move us to item 4C,
Which is the big one.
right, which is our focus of conversation today. Would you like me to give just a brief overview, or if there's anything you want?
What was discussed, I'm just, yeah,
Yeah.
what was discussed last month.
So we didn't get into too much discussion last month in terms of a potential 2017 Earth Day event beyond what I had already summarized in the overview of the council meeting last night, which was at the last meeting the committee discussed, well, let's see what the council directs at their January meeting in terms of the prioritization of these greenhouse gas measures, and maybe we can pull topics and integrate them into activities, forums, other means of information into a potential Earth Day activity. So I
Can
think,
have that back for a second. So,
without repeating myself and going back into, we
Did
did
you
an
already
overview.
summarize?
We did, yes.
What happened last night?
Yes, yes, we
Okay.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right, we talked about that. There was conversation too about, well, what are we, the committee, what is the committee here
Mm-hmm.
really going to be doing, since there was some conversation last night about, didn't seem that potentially there was the majority of decision to go beyond what existing organizations and or agencies may already be doing in terms of some of these programs. So what's that going to look like? And I said, I think what we'd like to do is, where we don't have that on the agenda for today, we certainly want to come back to the EPC at a subsequent meeting and pool some of our resources on what else is going out there and going on out there in the community and in the county, what those organizations are, what those programs look like, and how Atherton may or may not want to consider involving themselves in.
Basically, you know, as she summarized, and of course Valerie was at the meeting last night and saw and heard, you know, how things were received, but we did get the council approval that the priority list was a priority list. And so then, you know, how do we as a committee, what do we see our role in maybe creating an Earth Day event and a plan, and then to then present back to council? I'd recommend us putting something like that together as quickly as possible, so that for the Earth Day event, you know, so that we have enough time to really prepare and to go forward. And to the extent that we can integrate all those priorities is the best way I see of getting the approval.
I'd like to just clarify that we had fairly extensive discussion with, on the issue of how much activity and doing this committee can do. And I think it was made very clear to us that we can advise the staff, but we're not otherwise doing anything. And that's the number one item here. And so we get to tell them what we think their Earth Day should be, but they're doing the Earth Day event.
I think so. Staff will take the lead in facilitating the event based off of the ideas that the committee presents, that we ultimately, of course, then need to go back and get final authorization from the council on. If any of the committee members want to volunteer any time or efforts the day of the event, pre the event, I think that's certainly acceptable through staff facilitating those actions. And that is, I think, the clear direction that we have all received, and that's how we will march forward with this. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but we, after we distributed the materials for this meeting today, we went out a little bit more, we as staff, to kind of see what else is going on out there. So I did want to just share those with you. Before you begin your discussions, they may or may not sound of interest to you, but I just wanted to put them out there.
Yes.
So Earth Day is on April 22nd. It's a Saturday of this year. The town has already scheduled an event with Recology with the date tentatively scheduled for the 22nd of April. They have not received confirmation on that. But, and it's going to be a reoccurrence of their annual e-waste, e-shred, and compost giveaway. That's typically held here at the town center, kind of in the parking lot, I think, behind the administrative offices over by the police station. That's nothing to say that that event has to stay there, that we can't move it somewhere else. If the committee thought that was maybe a good opportunity to piggyback on, there's awareness in the community about this event already, and lump those things together, possibly. And then the other piece of information we wanted to share with you has to do with potentially partnering with the library. We have spoken to the library director, who seemed very excited about the possibility of partnering with the town. They don't have any specific activities themselves planned yet, but kind of got excited on the idea of some things that they've been targeting that could shape themselves into Earth Day related events. A lot of focus for the children and families. So again, just another piece that's out there that could potentially work for looping in with for Earth Day.
If I could just interject, the library has tremendous resources to network and to draw people into activities. We were here last night, and there must have been something going on at the library. There was no parking space. I'm not sick. There was something in the air. But anyway, so that sounds interesting to me. The Recology thing also sounds interesting to me. And I think to try to everybody has so many demands on their time, and to kind of combine events and, you know, combine forces so that there's one event that people can target and go to rather than have to schedule, well, I've got to do the library, I'm going to have to do ecology, and then, or something else. I don't know, it just may be a more efficient use of everybody's time and resources to combine. I don't know how you feel about that.
I think we all agree on that, and last year we tried to do the ecology thing, and it was not available to combine the dates. We wanted to do a farmer's market, and we did it during the summer. So I don't know if that's even available to do again. So just so you could, it's some of it just to get the town excited to do something.
Right. Well, there was a farmer's market that was through the Atherton Now, fundraising campaign kind of a deal, and it was really well received. And I don't know if they've got plans to try to hold another one. I know Melissa Badger was, kind of spearheading that. And spearheading.
It's okay. It's the day.
I knew that was wrong. So anyway, so that's something to think about, talk about.
No, this is really great that Recology actually can come, and that all the participants or the visitors can take advantage of that. What I remember from last year was that it was a great success to engage local high schools and younger people. However, because there are always so many events happening at the same time, I was hoping that we could see more local residents attending. And maybe with Recology being now a part of it, would be an incentive for actually, our residents to actively not only come, but, do their job and take advantage of e-waste. And I was wondering if at the same time, because compost giveaway is a very important one, and we know how much emissions are there, because, food, particularly if combined with regular trash, can produce 20 times more CO2.
It's 100 times.
Is it now 100? Well, my understanding was so. If we can also, as a committee, try to devise a plan for our residents to almost. So this is strategic. You come once a year, and there is a place where you can actually give away your compost, but it's a long time to accumulate that. It's
get compost.
We get compost.
We get compost.
We're giving it away.
Okay. How about us collecting? Some of us have in our backyards a place where we actually create our own fertilizers, where we create our, recycle our, food, excess food, and so forth. I think it would be very useful for residents to know there is a place where maybe they can, if they have such a place in the backyard, either give it away, donate it for further fertilization, where, I don't know, if there are companies, if there are firms that actually use food and other organic or materials to create, let's say, fertilizers, but to have something on a more organized level where people can either almost damp their own old food or locally developed fertilizers, or have means to do that. Meaning, if we educate them how to collect all that, and tell them what kind of, not technologies, but devices they would need, and what kind of tools they would need in order to create these local fertilizers, that would be a good incentive for people, instead of trashing food, actually, open the door, get into the backyard, and deposit that.
So let me just clarify, because the town has an extensive composting collection right now. Recology offers green bins for the large lawn waste, which is mostly green and brown, and they offer a food composting bin, which people keep in their kitchen, dump into their green bin, and the food and the yard waste are composted, and then that's kind of what this giveaway is. They make compost and they sell it.
I understand, but
So you're talking about letting people understand that they can still do backyard composting, not give Recology all their high nutrient waste, and use it themselves or use it for important purposes. And that's definitely something that we can do. But we don't even have to organize some massive way that people can share that. They can benefit. Most yards are an acre or some fraction of that, and could benefit from having high nutrient compost there. And I compost. Do you compost? You compost?
Yeah.
So we probably mostly all compost our most high nutrient vegetable waste. I don't know. I keep meat out of mine because I think it attracts flies. But many residents don't know about that, so maybe that could be
Exactly.
part of an educational
process, right?
You
So
could, that could be a tie-in though.
a tie-in. So my point is that maybe organizing this entire notion slightly better would also be a good motivation for residents. Particularly, I think female do that, and I hear that a lot, to more actively create their own
So
compost.
I have a question about health standards and stuff. In a way, is there anything? Are you allowed to, do your own compost and then freely either give it away or sell it to third parties? I mean, are there any health codes that we would have to comply with? Because who knows what
somebody would put in there.
I think we want to
Right.
stop at the educating about compost and
And then show
not
them
do the
how.
giveaway,
Yeah.
because I keep a huge compost bin and my yard just eats it all up.
and you just use it.
And I use it, and it makes everything grow really nicely. And I think it's beneficial because you kind of get an interaction with the earth and with your own dirt and with how the composting process works. But I don't put, meat in there because that takes really long time to break down. So, maybe just a short,
How to do it yourself.
how to do it yourself for
Yeah.
people who would like to not give away all their valuable nutrient waste to the town. I mean, that would be perfectly
Part of our
legitimate.
List, is that part of it?
So I was just thinking to listen, to hear what the discussion is, and if there's group consensus that yes, staff, please either you go ahead and do some research on education of composting for the community, or staff, maybe we can provide you some information we may have, here's some resources we know, and then we compile that all together. I think that would be a component
Of the
of
Recology.
the actual event. But taking a step back, if you'd like us to pursue working with Recology on call it a joint Earth Day event, and it sounds like
It makes the most
possibly
think that
there.
makes
Yeah,
would
we
be the
wanted to
case.
do that
Okay.
last time, and it was
Yeah.
just
Okay.
the dates did not align.
Okay, and I mean another plus side to teaming with an
It's
organization that's already doing something is being able to utilize their resources as well that are already locked in. Backing up, and I think we put this in the memo, and I know we've talked about it before, we have fairly limited budgetary resources
We're
to
aware.
support this, so it'd be great if we could team
Yeah.
with other agencies. So then it sounds like, just in terms of the event itself, that you'd like us, staff, to work with Recology in the bigger picture on a joint, call it Earth Day event, coupling onto their already, okay, got it. And maybe looking into changing location from the parking lot to perhaps the park,
Yeah.
Yeah, the only
think, or the
problem with
library.
that is backing your car up to pick it up.
We had that little station last time.
I know, but it's so convenient in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So-
we'd have to be strategic in the location of the different
Yeah.
components of the event. we don't want to probably spread things out too far so that when folks are coming to get their compost or drop off their e-waste, they don't have
They
to
wanna
get in
keep
their
going.
car and then go over
Yeah.
to whatever else we have going on for
Mhm.
Earth Day.
So I was not here for the farmer's market, and it was held here in this environment. What was that like? Did anybody go?
I didn't go.
You were out of town. I was out of town. I thought that people kind of liked it. It worked well. I mean, the little pop-up tents and stuff, and you know, so
And there was also the conversation, potentially, if we haven't gotten into it, but I guess I should say the point that we brought up about our conversations with the coordinator at the library about the library's interest to maybe
So just
Jump
relocate
into-
it to here versus the park.
from the park. The park is kind of big and spread out. I mean, it depends on how big, you know, of an event we end up.
Do you want to add something?
Well, we certainly didn't have very many last time.
Yeah, and you
But-
there's parking at the train station, so it's not really a.
Right.
Well, and you could take over that parking lot, you know, and yeah, well, as for parking, but I meant
Mhm.
you know, display area or whatever. And
Could
you
ride
were
the
gonna say
bikes.
something?
Yeah, I mean, well, going off of that, if we wanted to do the park, the library manager actually he suggested moving it to the park, just because more green space and everything, and he seemed to think that most of their activities could be done like outside under a tent as opposed to the kids like having to go into the actual library. So there's that. And then also there's the potential that we might not be able to do the actual Earth Day. That was one of the many events, one of the many dates they put in.
Right.
But if the timing doesn't work, if it's a few weeks later, would the priority be to team up with the waste?
I would say with
Okay.
Recology, probably.
Yeah.
Good turn. It would be great to do the library, and the other question would be, since we have a very small budget, would the library be able to afford the tent since they have this vision?
I know we, the town, have some of our own supplies
I
here.
just have to ask.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because it's
Well,
like
because
everything counts against
Yeah.
you.
It does, and there's also we would need some staff assistance in setting up the
We
tables and the
completely
booths and all
understand.
that.
I mean, that just sucked up our whole budget
Yeah,
last time.
right,
And
exactly.
we were very tight with budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone, I think, contributed. I had friends contribute like time. It would have been expensive, so.
Yeah, and we were pretty clear in our conversations with the library that we were more than happy to couple and support each other, but we wouldn't be able to help fund or provide necessarily any staff resources for your activities
Mhm.
unless they happen to be able to kind of flow together, so to speak.
Yeah.
They have their own materials,
Yeah.
and they have a ton
I
of
believe you.
voluntarily
That would be
support. So
Mhm.
if it happened to work out, okay, yeah. So that's a good point. So like I had mentioned, the Recology event tentatively we're shooting for actual Earth Day, but they had a few other Saturdays both in April and in May. So it sounds like the priority is not necessarily to lock in Earth Day,
I
so to
think we
speak,
should
but
try
to
for
just
the 22nd, because last time we had problems with students. It
Yeah.
was too hard, and it was just there's many factors.
And
Plus,
they
we
lost-
started later.
They lost interest because they were.
so
were
that's the
trying to
priority
going
is to or try
It
to
was the
push
end of
to
the
try to
semester.
keep it on the
It was the end of
22nd.
the
Yeah.
school year.
Yeah, it's the end
and
of the school
Valerie, how many times you worked on readjusting the schedule because we wanted to synchronize with the end of
It was
Yeah.
getting too close to the AP exams
It was
and stuff
really
like that.
challenging.
But
Got it.
but Earth Day has a lot of competition. There's
We
going to be
understand.
like 10 Earth Day events in the area, so we would be competing with others.
One other logistical point: the the Recology event typically is 9 to 12, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. is what they've held it in the past. So just to keep
Maybe
that
they'll
in
be
mind.
flexible.
Why did they do it so early in the morning?
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Teresa. I don't know if it's just
People
how they've done it in the
dropping off
morning,
their
getting ready to
e-waste
just.
on their
yeah.
way,
Well, maybe the employees are used to getting up early.
Oh.
Garbage man.
That's sleeping in, huh? At 9.
It's a routine, so if we could shift it even to 10 to a little bit later, it would be better.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
I mean, I think it's like you have to be like, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And sometimes it's like, all right, this isn't what exactly I have envisioned, but
And then would the preference be for the park, like around here, or for the park? Would your preference?
Well, it depends on what else there is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Which we need to
and
still
we
discuss.
still need
Okay.
like more feedback, maybe
Yeah.
what other things we could maybe tie in
Right.
to our list.
Okay.
I know it's a big ask, but as soon as you could get it to us, the better it would be, so we'd be informed and go, oh, like this, and this look good, and then we can tell Stephanie.
And my recommendation is that you do it now because, and get it on the calendar.
Yes.
Because
Yeah, we'd like to reserve as much as possible,
Well-
including the sign on Marsh.
We did that.
we
Because
don't
that did
have
not
to
happen
reserve
last year
I
for
heard,
us.
yes.
We wanted
Yeah.
to cry on so many things.
I think we actually, we penciled in Marsh and Middlefield for like every Saturday from the second week of April till the second week of May, just in case, so.
Thank you
But if
for-
somebody comes in and pays, then we
Yeah.
get booted, so we have to.
So
Yeah.
at the moment, I
Drill
think we
down
should
a
like try to keep it as much onto the 22nd.
Okay, okay.
And whatever, try to make it work around.
Okay, so maybe we hold off on
Yeah.
more further discussion on location until there's more conversation today on additional
Theme.
events. Do you want us to contact vendors, organizations, community choice aggregation,
great.
PCE,
That
I
would be
should say.
perfect, yeah. And see who's available as
Mhm.
well. And then we can have it like, if, let's say, the majority can do this day and they're not already
Yeah.
contacted, if we're like the first mover,
Great. And would you like us to look into the farmers market?
that would be perfect. I think it would draw more turnout, which is one of the problems we had last time. We had a lot of interesting things, but it was hard for people to know. Our postcards didn't get mailed. We couldn't put a sign. There was just a bevy of problems.
I think the most important component is the students.
The students as well, yeah.
I mean,
So we
Because
should,
having too much is not good either.
no.
Um,
I mean, the vendors, I don't think were that popular. It was the
Mm.
students that,
so that would be good if you could talk about that a bit more and what you envision the student involvement to be, and we'll have to evaluate whatever those specifics are and how much staffing resources can be dedicated towards managing that, or is it, hey, school, this is what we're doing, if you'd like to couple in with us, we're happy to support you. It depends, I guess, on what or how you envision the school to be involved this year.
Well, we learned since last year was the first time after a long break how to do it, and my first experience was not even to communicate with some elementary schools, maybe not even with some middle schools, but focus on these two high schools, because the quality of students and incentives and motivations for them to participate is much higher, and they had great really motivation to participate.
I think, we made the conscious choice that we needed to target older students because of the type of challenge that we had designed. It doesn't mean you can't have younger kids, if you're going to have a library event, do something easier. I think the main takeaway from the lesson from last year was that we can't go school to school talking to the principal. You need to get right to the environmental science teachers. If the teachers have buy-in, if they can tie it into a curriculum activity, make it something that the students, the success we had a lot to do with the science teachers that we engaged, who saw an academic value to having their students participate, and therefore then made it kind of like a class requirement.
Right.
So if you're going to do something at a high level, we mostly had juniors and seniors, and
That's true.
they were both the AP environmental science classes. We didn't have anybody who's a sophomore, no 9th grades, no 8th grades. We appealed to 6th grade.
Yeah, which
Up
we didn't have any luck.
We
with.
didn't have any of those younger. So we didn't design it to appeal to that, and we also didn't have the right science teachers who got, oh, this is great. So I think the design of it should be, either appeal to younger people or appeal to older kids, or both, or, you figure it out. But that's the lesson.
Yeah.
Is the science teachers made it happen, really.
So my personal takeaway about this is that you were absolutely right, that we created this model for juniors and seniors in AP environmental science programs and teachers. So you've got a little bit of a track record there. And so let's try it again. Let's just target that. And those teachers saw the results, you know, it was amazing, you know, that what their students did and came up with. Designing the program, I mean, Valerie, could we use that same format once more? I mean, teachers use the same teaching program over
Yeah,
and
they're
over
different
and over.
students in the class.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
there's no
right.
reason
I
we
mean, so
can't
why
use the
would
same.
we try even to
The problems
recreate
have
the
not
wheel?
changed.
Right.
However,
What?
we've got
problems
these
have not changed.
priorities
Right.
that somehow we've got to tie in the priorities, the list of climate action plan priorities. I think is
That's not a problem from the long list from last year.
okay.
Yeah, it's a zero problem.
Good.
All your questions from last year, you could write on so many topics that I don't see.
Yeah,
this
it was
as
a
being-
very broad list of
Yeah.
topics, plus they could pick, you know, any topic that interested them, but,
Yeah.
I think the two teachers that we appealed to, would, you know, are probably interested in trying to do it again. There's just a lot of work associated with fundraising
Yeah.
and giving them prizes
Mhm.
and
Well, maybe
coordinating.
we have to reset their expectations just a little bit, you know, but kind of figure that out up front and how many we're gonna give. And
It's a big motivation for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
This year we'll just have to start a little bit earlier regarding the fundraising and make sure that
I don't think we're supposed to do that.
We're not
No?
supposed to
Do what?
Any fundraising?
No.
I think the preference is to try to stay within our approved, albeit minimal budget of $5,000 is what we
Mhm.
have. Anything
I think it was
beyond
6,000.
5,000.
Oh, it's lower.
Anything beyond that would be a
Well,
request,
I don't even
right?
think I don't even think
So-
that's an approved budget at this time. Is it?
I'm pretty sure, yes. I double checked with Robert in finance. This is for the environmental programs committee. So we'll have to. We haven't spent anything.
So actually, if you read the staff report, you know, that the town is funding the environmental programs committee from a staff level at a much higher
Yes.
rate. And that's what Mr. Widmer got turned around, you know. He didn't kind of understand, or actually, maybe he did understand it, but he wanted to make
Yep.
it like, you know, it was something other.
This $5,000 is a completely separate line
So it's
item.
not against staff.
Not against that.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, it's not against staff, because
Because
the
that's quite
staff
expensive
budget
for us.
is the 50,000 that we have budgeted for the work of this committee.
This is
And climate
anything
action
else,
plan
And
and
climate-
anything
yeah,
else.
We
Yeah.
understand. It's like
Yeah.
it's not a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't mean that if we put together a plan that looks reasonable, that it still has to be approved by council, like the plan that we're talking about putting together, that we want to involve these junior and senior kids again.
Mhm.
We want to do a student challenge. We want to do a combination Recology Atherton, you know, joint Earth Day event. You know, we want to collaborate with Recology on their e-waste shred, compost giveaway, and any other activities that they have. And so, what else are we thinking about doing?
We had some composting education,
Mhm.
mold
Right.
materials, diagrams, dioramas, hands-on. These are things that we can try to think about and create to propose. Since you've given us, it sounds like the recommendation to do that.
Mhm.
We've gotten some conversation points regarding contacting appropriate organizations. It sounds like they weren't that necessarily as popular of a go-to last year, but I mean, I'm just thinking of
But it's also
PCE
the
and
first
the.
one, so
Yes.
you don't know how it's going to turn out the next time around.
So I'm happy when we can contact PG&E, we can contact PCE. Sometimes these folks come with their own goodies too that they can share that don't bite in, so to speak, to our resources. So we can certainly do that.
And maybe because if we can let them know that we're joint venturing with the Recology,
Yes.
it's kind of a bigger, broader.
Also, the water company would be. a good
Yes,
one.
in Cal Water. If anybody attended, well, call it the Earth Day. It was an event 2 years ago when we had it at the park. It was during the weekday at night. Cal Water came, and that was right before they started the mandating the. Yeah, they came and they spoke, and they had a bunch of good resources that they made available to the community as it had to do with water efficient landscaping and books and plants, sample plants that they brought, and photos of gardens and landscapes that could be planted with drought-resistant, low water tolerant type things. So.
Do they also have a suggestion or a guideline how to, on a more organized level, help residents with recycling gray water? Because we consume a lot of water that can be directly used for watering our backyards. However, we don't have a, I would say, standardized system that can be very easily, almost like plugged into your house, or in the back of your
I'm not
kitchen or bathroom, or a place where you can store your gray water.
Well, that's certainly something that I'm not. Can Cal Water advise about that?
Yeah, I can
So
talk to.
who would advise? Just Cal
Yeah.
Water?
Yeah, we have our local district contact, Dawn.
Dawn.
I can't recall her last name, but she came and she's
Smith.
Smith. Something. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have her contact, and I can share that with you, Doreen, when we outreach to Cal Water and let Cal Water know what our direction is based off of these prioritized measures, and what do you have for us that could help support and provide additional education to our community, and
I think we
invite them to, of course, to attend and
talk
get
to
them
our
involved.
building inspector, building department about what does it take really to retrofit for gray water use, because it may not be just as easy as you think it is.
I know, that's
Yeah.
why I'm
Yeah.
asking.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's
It-
not as easy as just
No.
tapping into an existing pipe and whatever.
But even if Cal Water could bring those rain barrels, and people could certainly.
Yeah, San Mateo County.
Yeah.
San Mateo County is giving away those rain barrels, $50 and a $50 rebate.
Right.
But most of our houses, well, I guess you can just collect rain out in the middle of your yard and not just from a downspout.
Right.
Right. I was gonna say, because most of our houses are hard piped into your detention trenches
Right.
Right.
from your gutters, from your downspouts.
Yeah, so we can certainly outreach and coordinate with our district representative from Cal Water on some of these water conservation
That would be great.
efforts, and that definitely hits one of your prioritized target.
It is very
topics.
high on the priority list, and my understanding is that some people are not as willing to give up on their green areas, and if there's, because for various reasons, architecturally many houses were built in the area before the climate change was acknowledged, and water became such a scarce resource. And if there's a way to recycle and reuse gray water, I think people then would still keep some of their green surfaces and still recycle and reuse the water.
I just googled the Cal Water page, and it's interesting. They have on their informational page, Cal Water launched their own school outreach competition on water conservation to elementary schools to develop programs for different ways to save water in their schools and at their houses.
Maybe we could highlight kids at the fair who had done something
Yeah, water challenge. So
for the younger kids potentially.
yeah, we can see what programs they
And
have.
maybe with the library, then you get like a little.
I know they're coming to Sylvan Lane like once a month or something like that, and
Oh, wow.
talking to the kids
Yeah,
about
that
it.
would be great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
we
so
could
we'll
do
kick
something like
Dawn's
that.
John's brain
Yeah.
about that.
And that would give us a little more like a full body
Mhm.
event.
That would be, I'm presuming, in addition to the outreach to the high school students. And there was some discussion about not reinventing the wheel, so to speak, and utilizing the same program that you had developed last year.
Or something similar.
Similar. So is that, and we probably have that somewhere, but is that something you'd be able and willing to?
You know what, I've
To
been
share with me?
intending to compile a complete notebook of everything that got produced and created, administratively or whatever,
Mhm.
and I'll try and get that to you.
Great, appreciate that.
Make sure I have enough printer ink.
Oh.
Otherwise, I'll get you a copy.
Okay, great. Or we're happy to print it here if it saves a paper. If
I
there's a
could
way.
probably get it on flash drive if
Flash
that's
drive?
better.
Sure.
So you have the Word or I mostly use Illustrator or Photoshop for
That's no
something.
problem. That
Do
would
you
be,
have
yeah.
Okay,
We should be able to
I'll
do
put it on a
that.
flash
Okay,
drive.
great, thank you.
Okay.
So, my take is that we will just need to discuss what to change from what already has been established at the Earth Day within the format, rather than
Well, what we recommend to
Yeah.
the
correct.
Right.
Correct. So just if we want to take a step back and recap,
would
excuse
be
me,
great.
what I've heard so far is working to coordinate with Recology so that the town Earth Day event
Mhm.
will be held at the same time and location to be determined still, with their already existing program of the e-waste, e-shred, and compost giveaway event. We will work on creating some public education materials, diagrams, whatever, as much as we can, to educate the community on composting in and of itself, what it is, how to do it, and what benefits you can receive from it.
And could it go up on the website after the event?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of it
Yeah.
can. We will contact outside applicable agencies and organizations such as PCE, PG&E, Cal Water, to see what they can offer during the event.
Mhm.
Again, focusing on public education and outreach type efforts for
It's
what
their chance, yes.
this is their chance to help. And depending on what they inform us, maybe we can ask for specific things. I don't know if we're going to get it, but it never hurts to ask. If there's anything specific that any of you may think could be beneficial.
Well, the water thing that it sounds like they did before, maybe it'll be better on the weekend. Not everyone's gonna have seen the same thing twice.
Mhm.
And the water barrels, if we could find out from San Mateo County, maybe as well,
Sure.
we could include them.
Okay,
That might
Lake
be
County,
popular.
Yep.
Write a check, get a barrel, get a rebate.
And then we will also work to, it sounds like, focus our primary efforts in terms of the high schools at the junior and senior academic level. We'll try to dig into figure out who their science teachers are, environmental. I'm not sure how they shape their curriculum, but we'll focus our efforts into there. Valerie's going to share her program that was developed for last year, and we will work with those high school teacher contacts in their willingness to run that program again this year.
I think you should plan to find out who is the AP Environmental Science
AP.
teacher at all the other
Schools also.
schools, because that was the reason we didn't get through to them, is that we didn't manage to get to that person
Got it.
at the school. We talked to the principals,
Okay,
but it didn't get communicated to the right science teacher.
I gotcha. Okay, so not just the high schools then. We want to go.
It doesn't have to be AP Environmental Science. It could be environmental science or general science if the teacher has an environmental section for the
There
class.
was a list, I think,
Almost
of the
everybody
teachers.
celebrates Earth Day in the school somehow or other.
Mhm.
And in fact,
We had a
right around
teacher
that,
list, remember?
I don't know if we had a teacher list, we had a principal list.
I
And
had,
then-
I had teachers list.
And then we had some teachers listed on there,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But the teacher that from MA runs his own Earth Day fair. I don't know if our dates will conflict with what he's doing, but he has his students working their own fair for Earth Day. So what you should do is when you contact those teachers, say, does this date conflict with anything you're doing? Because it's gonna be 2 months earlier than what we did. We did it in May.
And if there is conflict, though, again, I just want to make sure that I'm hearing the recommendation correctly. And that's, I think, worst case scenario. But if that worst case scenario plays itself out, the priority is to connect with Recology in sharing the event and sharing the.
It makes sense, because people
Okay.
will come to,
Yeah,
Okay.
because have
We'll really
Recology
try
at
as
the
hard
co-
as we
at the
can to
core
not
of-
have overlap.
we understand.
But
Yeah.
And we're thrilled to hear that we get a sign and a potential space.
yes, I
So-
think we're going to work on dates. It's probably going to be the
Yeah.
first primary focus of effort.
Valerie, last year we actually started with April as the initial month.
We did.
But
And
I think
then
we got a sign
gradually
that in
we
February.
It
moved
pushed
it
out.
to April because of all these conflicts.
We moved it time after time for a variety of reasons. One is we didn't have enough time.
Right.
And then
we
the
didn't have-
school,
Yeah.
I mean, here it is, January.
We needed more time for the kids to do. I mean, the kids need a couple months to put together a plan for a project. They can't do it in a few days.
Right, so this is a good time of the year to start promoting it.
But we're not
Because-
ready to promote
I know.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not.
Because it takes a couple of months for students to.
I think what you might need to
design.
do is decide if you need to meet a little more frequently, given that this is January and you're talking April, that's one more meeting between now and then.
Yeah, so we're gonna have
So
that.
we will have
So-
probably meetings every 2 weeks or.
Well, that we'd have to look. I mean,
Or-
we'll have to look into that from the staffing resources end of it. Unfortunately, I think the other option that we had done last year, not necessarily for the
Create
Earth Day.
subcommittees and work
Correct.
through subcommittees
Correct.
directly.
No Brown Act violation
Correct.
with subcommittees.
That's
And
right.
you guys can, then share coordination of events. I think we hamstrung ourselves unnecessarily last time with, saying, oh, we can't talk to anybody about, coordinating an activity or something. It wasn't a policy decision that we were making, it was just scheduling. So I think we can schedule appointments and, meeting dates, we just can't, collude policy. Yeah,
So, question,
definitely do that.
are we gonna get another person in our group?
Well, I think at any time we can bring one on at any time.
Because that would be helpful.
Mhm.
There's only 4 of us, and we have the work of 6 easily.
Well, I can help too, and Rick can help too. So, it'll be a little easier this year than last year.
I understand.
In lots of ways.
And I just before we move on back to the student competitions, there's still the desire to have some sort of incentive or prize base. Okay, so we'll have to consider that within the budget. And it was monetary last year.
Mhm.
Did I read that correctly? Okay. Okay. So I'm presuming that that number is going to have a significant drop than what was able to be offered last year based off of all of the voluntary donations that were received.
Most of the donations came from Recology, Cobalt, Cal Water, so the big groups
Oh,
mostly
okay.
gave them.
All right. Well, okay.
So you can put a price on their participation in our event, and they usually
Mhm.
are willing to contribute something, and that money was used for the students.
Got it.
And then, just to clarify, we also are interested in trying to incorporate, if we can, a farmer's market.
If possible.
Okay.
If it's not possible, it's not a
Okay.
deal breaker.
Yeah.
It would be nice, because I think it'll drive turnout
Mhm.
beyond the students. Like, adults will actually come.
Yeah.
Do you
Maybe.
remember, was Farmers Market the whole day event or just a
It's just
couple of hour event?
It's just part of the day. I don't think we
Part of
actually
the-
have to have even the Earth Day,
Yeah.
as long as we maybe had it last time, because it sort of had, it seemed like to sort
Right.
of fall off at the end a little bit, like everyone was like, all right. Time
We
to go.
were all ready.
What about food
Yeah.
vendors?
Food vendors, is that what we did last time?
people
We
brought
were
food.
baking like
We
crazy.
did bake, we had volunteer, we got people to volunteer to bring
Right.
bake stuff.
Okay. And so is there interest in like a food truck situation?
The problem is
So
with
sometimes they have a
that, you
minimum.
have to kind of pay them a minimum
Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
to come.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're just not gonna roll up and
Oh,
try
I know.
to sell off their
Yeah.
thing.
Well, having a farmer's market,
But
that
the-
would
right.
be a
Would be a
and
nice-
Sometimes they do coordinate directly with the
Exactly.
farmers markets.
Exactly.
So we
I
can
would like that to
couple
happen,
that.
Mhm.
Okay.
if
See
possible.
if it-
Yeah.
can
Then our
Somebody
food problem is
talk
less
with Melissa
expensive.
Badger, you know, anyway, I can give her a call and see if, you know, to tell her what we're thinking about
Mhm.
doing,
Mhm.
and would that be something that we can, that she might be able to help us with, or,
Okay.
not. Because there's a lot of coordination to do a farmer's market.
Oh yeah.
And what you want is to get organic food and, you know, not
But that would be
prepackaged food.
like in a farmer's market, right? You know,
Pretty much, yeah.
With the exception
Some
of
farmers markets, you know.
orchids or
You know, maybe what you could do is not do a farmer's market, but just do those types of people who create something made, like little pizzas or little pastries or the wraps that they sell that's like prepared food,
Right, rather than the produce and stuff.
rather
yeah.
than just
Just
plain
raw
produce,
food,
because
yeah.
plain produce they have every Sunday anyway. So maybe this on a Saturday could be those farmers who are making
Yeah, like
edible
cheese or
things
something.
like
Yeah,
cheese or,
honey.
well, or popcorn, you know, that caramel corn, or the things that are good things to buy and eat, and then to suggest that they sell it in, you know, distributable packages, not like a big thing,
Okay.
maybe. Because there are a few of them, I don't know how many there are, but
Like
they,
pot pies.
like
and-
little pot pies, little
I love pot
sandwiches,
pies.
Those stuffed breads sometimes.
stuffed
Yeah.
breads, focaccia
Yeah.
kind of things.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember how many visitors we had last year?
Not many.
That's what we should work on.
So,
this year.
George told me that they counted 88
Visitors.
to the,
With
Without
all of us
students?
working?
I think they
And
were
the
not
students.
counting us, they counted number of people who came to the booths. That didn't count the student side, that was
Oh.
the vendor side.
Really?
So I was shocked, I thought that was like 8 times more than what we
Oh.
had.
I did too.
Because the event lasted for so many hours.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
long
We
day.
did not have a good.
So I don't think we need to make it as long
ex-
this time.
Mm-hmm.
We could make it a little bit shorter.
Yeah, like I said, I believe that the Recology event, just for reference,
You
is
said from 9
scheduled
to
for
12.
3 hours.
Yeah. You
That
could do
would
it
be
maybe a
long
little
enough
bit
for the
longer,
whole thing.
even if they leave and pack up their stuff.
I
It's
think
still
10
fun.
to 2 is a sweet spot.
We'll see if Recology will go for it.
We will talk to them.
Isn't it 10
Yeah,
to 2
10 to
sound
2
right?
is pretty good for everyone. They've had their coffee, they're not cranky,
Yeah,
and then you can go and do something else.
right, yeah. You can get a little snack for lunch.
How
and-
about how about breakfast at the farm?
That sounds like a really
Saturday family event.
Yeah.
Earth Day
So-
breakfast at farmers market.
Are we, do we have the ability to kind of direct you to kind of summarize this, to then maybe present something like this to council at the next meeting, so that we can get approval from council to move forward?
Yes, that's our hope. So that would be, where are we looking at?
February 1st study session? Oh, see, they don't like to make decisions.
We just have to, I think, before
On
we're,
study
before we as staff are able to formalize a draft plan, we need to do a little preliminary legwork, to, just for the logistics, I think, first and foremost. If we can't get that done, we could still present the ideas, but I don't know how well that will be received, if they'd want the whole package, so to speak,
So
for
What
their
if they didn't know it
consideration.
was the whole package?
I'm sorry?
What if they didn't know it was the whole package?
Oh,
Are they
I
really
think they-
particular?
I think they're gonna wanna know the details. I think that's what's been discussed and, promised, was here's the agenda for, proposed agenda for 2017 Earth Day. location, time,
Okay.
events, activities,
And
We have some
potential budget.
proposal at this
budget,
point.
and proposed
And
budget.
proposed budget.
So it's gonna take a little bit of time on our end. I think we could make it work. I don't know about the study session, but we could
You know,
certainly
council
work.
doesn't typically like to make formal approval motions at study sessions.
Mhm.
They just like to discuss things and kind of, you know, maybe direct staff to continue investigating things or researching and stuff. But formal approvals, you'd have to ask George and then he'd have to
Right.
talk to Mike.
So we'll talk to, well, we have to talk to the city manager's office after this regardless because of the
Yeah, because we
request
have,
with the recording things, and then,
The recording's not working.
the request to potentially just audio record in the future versus video record, and I'm not sure how that falls within the town's established communication protocol.
Yeah, I think it's gotta be videotaped.
Yeah, so, but we'll ask the question. But also, I need to talk to city manager's office because they're spearheading the Recology event, so to coordinate amongst
Yeah,
and
yeah.
together.
And, you know, how we can fast track this
Mm-hmm.
because,
Because we need time to actually, obviously get all this stuff.
yeah, and you guys need time too. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and if
Yeah,
it's
for
April
all this.
22nd,
It comes really quick.
or whenever Recology really is, you know, pinpointing their date.
So once we have the approved plan, presuming we're going to get an approved plan from the council, and say best case timing wise that happens at the February meeting,
Which would
We'd
be the
15th, do you envision coming back,
Is it February?
having it come back to the environmental programs committee for, I'm not sure what the,
We'd need to, yeah, if you wanted us to help facilitate it, we would definitely need to see it. And it might need to be like a special meeting just to discuss. So we could figure out, you're on this committee, you're on this subcommittee, you're on this subcommittee, cause that will need to be discussed for sure.
if you'd like to voluntarily propose to give your time or efforts to help with the event, knowing it's not obviously mandatory, and that we would be able to help facilitate and oversee with the
Mhm.
different agencies,
And
etc.
in the interest of time, the committee members, would you mind, and is it allowed, to start forming these subcommittees today? So that we speed up the whole process.
because we don't know
We
what
don't
they're
know
gonna say.
We
Yeah.
should probably wait, I think, for the formation of a subcommittee to dive in once we get that final authorization from the council that yes, please move forward with the plan that you've proposed.
Mhm.
You've
And then we would
recommended.
see the proposed plan as well, so then we could say, okay, I'll tackle this, I'll
But
tackle
there
that.
are only 4 of us, so.
Yeah, so 2,
Mhm.
right,
Okay.
And a council liaison
yes.
Yep.
can be part of the subcommittees.
Mhm.
Nice to meet you.
We can't make any decisions though, but.
I know. So Dory, I think you're gonna be quite busy.
That's what I'm thinking too.
We're looking forward to seeing all of your suggestions.
Yeah, I'll have those. We'll get working on them right away.
Yep, we're gonna start with the logistics. I wanna start with the
Yes.
logistics first, so that,
I think our last item is just setting our date, so why don't we look at what we think we need to,
Right,
to meet.
so the scheduled, regular scheduled meeting is Thursday, March 16 at 1:30. So this is a regular Thursday.
Yep.
2 months from now, which is for a regular meeting.
We may need to do
Yeah,
a special
we-
meeting
slot.
after.
But in the meantime, we will try to schedule
Like
at
a
least
special
one
meeting, yeah.
special meeting.
Just to figure out who's doing what.
Mhm.
well,
Who's on first.
we can't get to the council any earlier than
Than
February 15th.
Okay.
So are you thinking about having a meeting in between February 15th and March 16th?
Yes. In the interest of time, I think we have to.
So maybe we move the 16th meeting up instead of an additional meeting.
Okay.
We just keep your regularly scheduled meeting, but we change the date to earlier. So you have more time?
That sounds good.
That sounds good too.
Okay. So how does this sound for everybody then? Once we are able to at least lock in
We
the
understand.
date, then we can doodle poll a revised meeting date that will be sometime between February 16th, following the council meeting,
Sure.
and prior to March 16th.
Okay.
Okay, so, yeah, I guess either the last week of February, probably the last week of February, the first week of March, or even I guess the second week of March. And we'll check room availability and whatnot, but shall we continue targeting a Thursday, 1:30 to 3:30, Jacinka, that works okay
Yes,
for you? Okay.
Yes, and
Okay.
at the earliest
Yeah.
convenience, because then
Yeah.
we will be
Then
able
we
to
Tackle the
set
next
up
thing, yeah.
subcommittees
Yes,
and have
prior
a
to.
first
Okay,
draft
Okay.
plan.
I mean, I'll just throw out tentative dates right now, of maybe February 23rd or March 2nd.
March 2nd would be better for me at the moment.
Okay, well, we'll check room availability with that too.
I'm available on both days.
Okay, well, we'll need to obviously publicly announce that since we're changing it, and that's fine, that's not a big deal, we just need to,
Just to help you.
thank you. Thank you. Okay,
Do you have any other business?
let's see.
And this is all.
Okay.
We can adjourn the meeting.
I move that we adjourn the meeting. Second?
Second.
Nice.
The meeting has been adjourned.